Today, it is my pleasure to have my friend that I have known for over 30 years, Andrew Lacey. Andrew Lacey is not only responsible for me making millions of dollars, he is responsible for me and my coaching practice, helping others to make millions of dollars. And when you think about the number of people that he has coached over the years and the number of lives that he has changed, it is astounding. So Andrew now is a coach, and he has the unique ability to help people overcome their challenges. He has a special gift, and he can sometimes tell you what's stopping you from achieving your goals. Why? Because he's done it. He has done it. So now the peak of his career, he did 312 deals. And I was just doing some math, and I figured in my market, if I did 312 deals, I'd be making over $7 million a year right now, more than teams, more. But the wonderful part about Andrew is he teaches you not to spend a fortune on everything. He teaches you how to do it without breaking the bank. So here he is, Andrew Lacey. Yay, yay, yay. Thank you so much for being on this call today, Andrew.
Well, thank you, Betty. And by the way, this is the first Zoom call I've ever done.
I can't even believe it. I'm so impressed.
People every day go, well, you don't have any of this stuff that everybody else has. Yes, I do. I have the ability to communicate effectively, probably in a different way, and I hope to have time to share that today. But first of all, thank you for allowing me to be here today. I am Andrew Lacey. I'm from a small city in South Carolina called Spartanburg. I think you wanted me to talk a little bit about before real estate, and I'll take it up to when I changed my life, and that's what I would like to talk to you today about: changing your life. You have a power at any time to change your life, and I'll talk to you a little bit. But I am actually, as I said, from Spartanburg, graduated high school, had a scholarship, went to a college music school, and went there and never had been away from home. And after one semester, I had to go back home because I lost my scholarship because I was having a lot of fun. So I came home and decided, what am I going to do? Well, actually, out of the blue, I joined the United States Marine Corps. Had a big effect in my life. It gave me self-confidence, self-discipline, and self-motivation. Went in the Marine Corps, and out of 300 recruits, now there was one that weighed 110 pounds. Me. I weighed 110 pounds. And they select two people out of every series. They select two people to go to Camp David to be a presidential guard. And so they took about 20 of us in a room, and they sat us down. And the first question on the test, would you die for the president of the United States? And I wrote down, yes, sir. The second question, would you jump in front of a gun to save? I wrote down, jump in front of a gun to save the president's life. I wrote down, yes, sir. And they brought, they gave us these tests, and they brought us back in, about 12 of us, and 6 of them. They narrowed it down to 2. And of course, at that moment, for the rest of my time, they did everything in their power to break me mentally and physically. But I was able to make it and ended up being a presidential guard for President Carter for 2 years and President Reagan for 1. I got to serve the president of the United States. So see, a lot of times it's not where you're from, it's not how tall you are, and not how big you are, it's your heart and how much you really give, and to never give up. I try to encourage people here at the end of this call today. I'm going to share something that's happened since 2019. It's very important. But got out of the Marine Corps. My uncle, my dad's brother, was very successful in real estate. He had a beautiful home, had a pool, had tennis courts, had stables for his horses. And I said, looks like some money in that. So I went into real estate in October 10th, 1982. Interest rates were only 21%. But me not knowing any better, I came to work and started working 24/7. And let me tell you, if I can tell you anything to do to stop today, quit working 24/7 because you'll be burnt out. And you can't be your best when you burn out. When you're not, you got to recharge the batteries. You need 2 days off a week. You need to take 2 days. I don't care what days you take, 2 days. But I had 24 closings, and they made me rookie of the year. So second year, I said, hey, man, I'm rookie of the year. And I didn't do anything, and I went down to 19. My third year, I dropped on down because I was having a pity party. I went down to 15. So I was going backwards. But I ended up having 18 closings next year, 21, 23, 24. So in 8 years, I had between 15 and 27 closings. I had never made over 50,000. And this is important. The day I went into real estate, I said, wow, if I could ever make $50,000, that'd be incredible. My dad had never made over 20,000. He was a pipe fitter for construction. So I didn't have that vision, which I'm going to share with you. When I was able to, I saw people, I'm coming to it in a minute, but see, I never been around anybody with money. So see, I had put limits on myself. If I could ever make 50,000, well, guess what? I never made more than 50,000. So that's why we want our goal to be up here, not down here, but up here when we set our goals. So now that's basically my first 8 years, making less than $50,000 a year. You know, I remember the third year. I lived in a duplex. My rent was $100 a month. And 1 month I didn't have it. And the duplex was near the owner's house. And I went up on Friday evening and I knocked on his door and I said, Mr. Cantrell, I don't have my money. And he was a little man. He said, hey, well, Andrew, you'll be down here at my sawmill tomorrow morning. And so 2 Saturdays in a row, I planed boards when they came out of the sawmill and took them over to a planer and to pay my $100 rent. So I've always been on the side of what I call the agent. I love the owners, I love the managers, but the agents is where my heart is. And so one of the things that I do is help people. You know, some people don't have any money. You said it, Betty, they've spent all their money by the time I meet them, because people tell them, you got to buy this, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. And they just waste money on things that will never work, unfortunately. Let's stop right here and let me tell you something. You today are in the greatest industry there ever was. I'm 42 years in real estate. I haven't seen anything out there that for such a small amount of money, you can get started. You can start a business. And that's what you need to change today. You need to quit being an agent. Never again say you're an agent. You're an owner of your business. Now, the decisions that you make every day is going to determine if you're an agent or if you're running a business. Most people in real estate are agents. They have a car, but they don't have a business. But let's go back to
where you were, Andrew, let me interrupt right there, but like, so you're 5 years, you're still just like doing average.
8 years.
And 8 years. And then where I met you was at a Mike Ferry seminar. What caused you to go there and what changed everything?
Well, and that's exactly right, where it's headed. First of all, it was called a Coal Banker Elite Retreat in Salt Lake City. And what do I have? I have no money. But the Elite Retreat, the top 10% of agents, you get invited. So my broker came to me and he paid for my flight. He paid for the meeting. I think the meeting was $350, $450. And he paid for the hotel to Salt Lake City. And I got there, there's 300 agents from across the United States. And there's an aha moment. June the 13th, 14th, 15th, 1991 is definitely, one of those 5 times in my life. It's an aha moment, looks like.
Yeah. And
I'm sitting there, and the preface was good of what to do. It was about calling people. And that's what I can remember 50 things to do to have 50 closings. No, excuse me. Yeah. Was it 50 things? No, 18 things to do to have 50 closings. I wrote each one down. One of them was buying a computer. I went and bought a computer. Now, this is 1991. But I never plugged the computer in. I never took it out of the dang box. Okay, but what changed, Betty, was this. So part of the seminar, they brought 7 of the top 10 agents from across the United States up on the stage. So I remember Irma Adams, Tim Wood, Joan Pate. I can remember the name. And all of a sudden, I was writing down. One of them had 120 closings. One of them had 130 closings. One of them had 100 closings. And at that moment, I'm going, okay, they're different. And what I found out was they all had one common denominator. They were listing agents. That was the light bulb moment for me. Mm-hmm. So where I had never, you need to write this down if you're listening. I had never taken 10 listings in 1 year. 4.5 years later, I took 338 listings in 1 year. No building, no subdivisions, no new home sales, individual people. But when I saw them, so the last part of the seminar, at the end of the seminar, They said, how many of you would like to be up on the stage? So see, I not only changed what I was going to do in real estate, I found my emotional goal. You know, we talk about a daily goal, a week. A daily goal is to get an appointment. You should come in every day to get an appointment. That will change your life forever, to get an appointment. Daily goal, a weekly goal, to get a listing each week. A simple goal. Monday morning, I'm starting. By Friday, I want to have a new listing. Weekly goal, monthly goal, yearly goal. And then I talk about emotional goal. An emotional goal is something that it drives you. And most people never find a true emotional goal. They never dream big enough. People are afraid to dream big. I always say, dream more while you're awake than when you're asleep. But I was sitting there and they said, how many of you would like to be up here and be one of the top 10 agents? And they said, if you would like that, stand up. 300 people stood up and said, I do. So somebody now, how many of you actually want to be up here? And all 300 of us stood up. Said, I do. Well, I said, sitting there, I was in the second row on the inside. I was on the aisle. And I said, I'm going to be one of those. Now, you got to think, if I have time to tell you how crazy that is. Think about this. I'd never closed 30 homes. So I was going to have to go to 120, which is 4 times more. I was going to have to, there were 240,000 people in Spartanburg County. There was 200 cities larger than Spartanburg. And last but not least, there were 63,000 Coldwell Banker agents. 63,000. That means I had to outproduce 62,990. But do you know that never one time in my life did I get up and think about those 3 things? But this would be a perfect time for me. When I flew back, something happened. I changed how I got up in the morning. And if I could ask you to write this down, you know, I'm not promoting this, but I'm finishing a book called The 7 Most Important Beliefs. To change that belief, to truly change your belief is to change your life. But the 7 most important beliefs, you know what the first one was? It's going to be a great day. And as the Lord is my witness, I have not had a bad day since June the 15th, 1991. I've had death, I've had loss, I've had everything. I've had everything you've had, but I've never had a bad day because I choose every morning it's going to be a great day. The second thing is someone needs my help today. And see, every time, most agents get up in the morning, they don't have a clue. They never think about what's going to happen today. And all I think about, hey, somebody needs my help today. And then the third chapter is, I'm the best person to help someone today. I'm the best person to help someone. When you can really, truly believe that, it will change everything. I'll go ahead and finish you want me to finish the 4 chapters, the 7 chapters? I can. But it's a great day. Somebody needs my help today. I'm the best person to help someone. I'm going to make a difference in the world today. Mm-hmm. And then the next 3 chapters, this is for people. This is for you. There are more great prospects than you possibly can do business with. Most people operate out of fear of loss.
Right. The problem and you're talking from Spartanburg, South Carolina, right?
We have one Inspire today. One a day. You know, people all tell me, I don't have enough people to call. I said, I'm, you know, they're in Atlanta or they're in a big city somewhere. I'm going, the problem is never going to be you don't have enough. The problem is you have too many. Every person I've ever worked with had to break that spot area. You know, in Atlanta, there's 32 areas. And I had a lady calling in 8 areas and she wouldn't get any callback. So I said, narrow it down to 4. Then I had to narrow it down to 2. Then she finally get a callback. You call somebody, here's once a week, they can avoid you. If you call somebody every day, they can't avoid you. So let's
go back to the magic. So you're back on the plane.
Okay.
You've changed your whole mindset.
Yep. I started visualizing walking across the stage. That's what I did. I started visualizing. I saw myself, and I should say every morning for 2.5 years, I promise you, I visualized walking across the stage at the Coldwell Banker National Convention. I not only did that, I found out who the CEO was so I could say, you know, when I went up there, I knew who was going to hand me that eagle, Chandler Barton. I found out. So I would say every morning, Chandler Barton's going to give me an eagle at the Coldwell Banker National Convention. So
I remember you talking, and this is from 30 years ago, you would get in your car and you would turn on Whitney Houston.
Each day I live, I want to be a day to give the best of me. I rise and fall, but through it all, this much remains. Give me one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away and the answers are left up to me. Give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny. There in that one moment, I will be free. You're a winner. You're a winner for a lifetime. When you seize that one moment in time, make it shine, make it mine. Give me one moment in time. Yes, ma'am.
Was that one moment in time when, in your mind, when you were walking across the stage winning the award, or was it when you were more than you thought you could be, or both?
That's, well, I visualized walking across the stage. And then I would stand in front of the laboratory sink, brushing my teeth, combing my hair, shaving, and see. So I'm visualizing my emotional goal. One of the books I wrote years ago, it's called "It Happens in the Shower." Sounds odd, doesn't it? Happens in the shower, but it's all about what you think. But what I'm thinking in the morning, and see, I would not allow. I would not take a phone call. I would not. My wife would not give me anything heavy in the morning. So from the time I got up, I was thinking about what was going to happen. Nothing else would I allow into my mind. I had no distractions. So that when we're in the shower, then we're in front of the laboratory, brushing my teeth, somebody needs my help today. Then we get in the car and I put in the cassette and I just listen to that song, the Whitney Houston. See, I have 2 minutes to drive every morning, and that song is about 5 minutes long. I listen to it. I'd have to rewind it and play it again, rewind it and play it again. But I would listen to it 3 times. And that was my you got to think, I'm a high school graduate. I failed out of college. I finished the Marine Corps. And I had failed, I'm saying this right, I had failed in real estate for 8 years. So my one moment in time, hey, to walk across the stage of the National Convention, that's one moment. That was going to be my one moment in time.
Well, Andrew, everybody's saying, oh, that's fine. Okay, all that changed. And the name of this seminar is 5 magical things to do. But really, in essence, is there was no magical things to do, right?
No.
Right,
whoever wrote that, it wasn't me, because there's no magic.
How the heck did you do 300 deals? What did you do? You must have, well, they didn't have Zillow. What'd you do to get 300 deals?
So I came back, and actually the first thing I did, I started calling all the secretaries in Spartanburg and listening to the voice, because there was no Red X Land voice, Vulcan 7. There was nothing. And so I knew that I was going to have somebody. You're going to say, how did you pay her? Well, actually, I kept listening to the voices. And I remember Prudential had a girl named Melanie Ayers. I called, and she sounded great. And I said, Melanie, this is Andrew Lacey. I'm a co-banker right up the street. Would you have lunch with me? And she said, yeah, about a job. So we went to lunch. My script was when we went to lunch, I said, instead of working for 90 people that don't appreciate you, why don't you just come work for me? Only have one person that doesn't appreciate you. She said, I like that. So she gave her, she went back and said it, and they fired her right then. So she got to come to work the next day. But I hired her to do one thing: look up expires. Now, what had happened is they had told you to call people out of subdivisions, neighborhoods, phone books. But I knew I have that gift I call you discern. I knew that would not work. I knew it'd be an astronomical number of people. I said, why don't I call the people that want to sell their house, meaning it expires? So there were no lead follow-up. So she would have to look it up in MLS, then she'd look it up in the telephone book, couldn't find the telephone book, the block map book, the city directory. It took hours and hours to find those numbers, which is so great now. Yeah, Vulcan 7, that can send it. That is one of I had to hire somebody paying them $20,000 a year.
I did the same thing, Andrew. I paid somebody on half-time salary.
That's all that she did. Now she turned it up and ended up, I had 2 assistants the year I closed 163. She handled everything with the listings, and Rosa Ellen handled everything with the closings. They each had their own file cabinet. But she would look up the numbers, and then I would start calling people. And I knew the scripts, I'm not going to say what his scripts were, but they did not work. You couldn't call them. See, if I said,
I remember when you changed your script. You took the old Mike Ferry scripts, and then you got your own script. I remember that day.
When do you plan on moving? How soon do you have to be there? If you want to move tomorrow, what would be? Can you take back a mortgage? That can work when you call somebody. But see, when I started calling an expired, I can remember that first week I called to my Betty, and they said they was never going to sell again. And so I took that piece of paper and I threw it in the trash can. Well, a couple of weeks later, guess who's in MLS as a new listing? That lady. She said, now she told me, we're never going to sell again. We're going to stay here forever. You know what she did to me? Lied. She lied. So that was the next change I really made. So in Spartanburg, I said, okay, I can play that game. If you expire in Spartanburg, I'm going to call you every day. Monday through Friday. I'm going to call you every day until you list with me, you list with another agent, or you die.
And
But
everybody, that phrase is used by every coach and trainer, and it came right from you.
You know how much came from me? It's scary. How much?
I know it.
But it was. I was going to call. And so if I was going to call you every day, I couldn't call you every day. Go say, when you plan on moving? When you plan on moving? When you have to move it? So I came up with a magic script. You know what it was? Can I help you get your home sold today? Why did it take somebody from Spartanburg, South Carolina, in a small town, to come up with probably 3 of the greatest scripts I've ever written? But can I help you get your home sold today? And then I don't want to give all my scripts away, but I'll tell you the second sentence, which is the magical. In fact, it's so good that a national franchise put it in their training manual under for sale bonus. And that script is, can you see me standing up?
Yeah.
Because when I call people, I stood up. So still, when I role play today, I have to stand up. But so I call you and I say, ring. Hello, Betty, you want to role play? Ms. Scales, good morning. It's Andrew Lacey with the Lacey Group. Can I help you get your home sold today?
No, Andrew, we have decided not to sell it.
Okay. Would you be offended if I just come out and took a look at your home? And that was the sentence. Now, if a person's in a bad mood, I don't use would you be offended, you understand? But I had, when I first called in, this goes all the way back to 91. I asked some guy one day, I said, would you be offended if I just came out? He goes, boy, where did you get that from? I said, what? He said, that script. Now, at that time, I didn't know there was scripts. I was just writing sentences. I didn't know what a script was. So he said, I want to meet you. So I went out to Hillbrook Forest, and he said, I want to tell you something. I've been with IBM 23 years, and we have sales training every 2 weeks. He said, that is the greatest sentence of all time. He said, how many people have ever told you they would be offended? I said, 0. He said, what I did. But that's, in a little while, you may ask me, what's my superpowers? That is one of my superpowers. I have been afforded the ability to write. Probably, it doesn't matter. If you told me you wanted something today, you wanted to get something done, you were going to meet with this person or that. If you called me, I would come up with the greatest sentence of all. I was in Palm Beach, Florida, with a woman named Alicia McVie, who had been over Pulte Homes, and Pulte in 2008 crashed, and she came back in residential real estate, and she hired me. But I was in Palm Beach, and I was sitting with Mike Nicholas, the son of Jack Nicholas. I worked with Golden Bear Realty. Now it's called Nicholas Bank. But they asked her, they said, why would you hire Andrew after you bought millions and millions and millions of dollars of property for Pulte? She said, one reason. He will always have the greatest sentence to get something done than anyone could ever write. And that is probably the superpower, because each sentence that I use in prospecting or in presentations or in negotiation is every bit of it makes sense. It's not, doesn't sound good. It's the truth. And it sounds good, I should say. Okay. So
we came up with that because you've done it so many times that you've got to know the person, or what?
Well, that goes back to, if I had someone today to pay cash for your home, or they already pre-approved, that goes back to, well, do you have someone? And that day, that first time somebody asked me, I went, and then a couple of days later, I called somebody, said the same question. Then I had the answer. They said, okay, come on over. But that's what it was. It was trial and error. And again, my ability to discern, my ability to write is my gifts. And then talk about people in a little while, okay?
Well, go back. All right. So I see you in your room. You've got these papers of the expireds that they've looked up the numbers, and you're calling them every day. How many calls, and how long how did you build up to calling? How did you get 300 deals from that?
Well, let's go first. I prospected an hour when I came back. And I'd come into the office and I'd beat on the sheets of paper. And I tell people every day, don't use a computer. Make everybody individual sheets of paper. Have the name, their address, the days on the market, date expired. And we had the MLS. She would cut it out of the MLS book and tape it on here, on a white sheet of paper. And then she'd write it big print so I could just, dial the number. But I'd be like, which one of y'all gonna listen to me today? Come on up to the top. I know you're in here. Arrive. Which one of y'all gonna listen to me today? And then I'd hold my sheets up and go, which one of y'all gonna listen to me today? fall out. The one that's going to listen to me fall out, don't have to call all y'all. Guess I got to call all of you. But I made it a game. I was never stressed out. I was never worried. I knew with the scripts that I had written and my mindset. See, that mindset that there's more great prospects than I'm possibly. Look at all these people here. I just need one of them. But I would be, because I didn't have any role playing. One of the greatest things I created in my program is role playing to make agents. Well, it used to take agents 3 years to learn my them all in 3 months because of role playing 4 days a week. Which one of y'all rise? But when I went from 27, if you've got a piece of paper, I wish you'd write down 27 to 60. I did that in 6 months. I was on track to close 30 when I got back in June of 91, June the 15th, June 6th, 1991. And I started prospecting 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day is around $30-something profit. But and then in 92, so I went from 27 to 60. Now, there's 2 points I want to make here. I said to myself, if I can go from 27 to 60 in 6 months, I ought to be able to go from 60 to 120. That was my goal, 120. This is very important. So I prospected an hour and a half, Betty. And by the end of the year, I'd only gone from 60 to 75. And I was beating myself up. Why, man, I did everything right. What's the problem here? And the whole point, I said, for some reason, I said, I'm going to give it 1 more year. Now, got to remember, I've just had the 2 best years of my life and I'm ready to quit. I had a 100% increase and then I had a 20% increase. How many people would be too cool with 20% increase? So I said, I'm going to go give it 1 more year. Now, this is very important. At the beginning of 93, I sat down with my broker, who the only man I've ever worked for to open my own company. And he's the man that paid for me to go to Salt Lake City. And he said, Andrew, it was time for our goals. He said, I see that you have a goal. Your goal is 100. See, I said, okay, I'm going to double again. I'm going to go from 75 to 150. He said, well, Andrew, if anybody could go to 150 in Spartanburg, it'd be you, but we don't have enough homes here in Spartanburg for you to do 150. And I was thinking there'd been 3,000 and something closings, 3,300 closings. To me, that was plenty. But this is that moment. I want to tell everybody that this is very important. I respected that man. He's second to my dad, and man that that I loved, that helped me the most in my life. And I could have easily gone upstairs and say he's right, because he put his goal down to 100. He said, I'm gonna say you're gonna have 100 closings instead of 150. But that's, by the time I left his office and went upstairs, I walked in and I said, Melanie, go buy a poster board, big white poster board I put on the wall. And when she came back, I said, start at 0 and go up to 150. So what I'm trying to say, even he taught me how to dress. He taught me how to act. He gave me the professionalism of business. I didn't let him steal my goal. I didn't let him steal my dream. And I think most people that's over 25 years of age allow a child, you can't steal their dream, but an adult, their dream they're just immediately. Anybody, they'll let their friends, they'll let the person in the next cubicle, they'll let their parents, they'll let somebody steal their dream. They'll say, you can't do it. And they believe that instead of you can do it. That's the difference right there. So she wrote that down by 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 30, up to 150. Well, at the end of the year, Mr. Newton was right. I did not have 150 closings. I had 163 and became number 7 in the United States with Coldwell Bank in 2 categories out of 4. Fire controlled sales and listings. In total units.
And back then that's incredible. Like, I remember Mike Ferry couldn't find people to be on the panel back then that could do over 50 deals because you didn't have, because people weren't buying leads back then.
And I was what would call, when I went into real estate, Ben, and you went into real estate, 20% of the agents did 80% of business. And then along with time, I came along at the mega agents in the 90s. 10% of the agents did 90% of the business. I believe now 5% of the agents are doing 95% of the business.
Yeah.
Because it used to be years ago when you and I saw real estate, the average number of closings per agent was 12, 15. Now it's down to under 10. It's 8.
Yeah.
I was looking recently in some of the MLSs in South Carolina. 33% of the agents had 3 or less closings.
I know.
So you either have, it's such a great gulf of those that don't have. And let me tell you what it is. It's all these systems, it's all these things that they can do
so
to
true.
make money. And it's not. And I said the other day, the truth never changes. The truth of building a business, it hasn't changed. Fads come and go. I've seen 40 years, you and I have seen a lot of different fads, a lot of different things. But the one thing that the truth of, you got to come to work. And here, we left out a word a minute ago. 8 years in real estate, 8 years in real estate. What was I? Passive. I waited for business to come to me. I wait, open houses, call time, duty desk. And if you got a website, please understand, you're waiting for business to come to you. But what happened was I became proactive. Instead of waiting for the phone to ring or somebody contacted me, I started contacting people. That's the biggie. To come in and actually call someone asking for business. That's what changed my life. That's what changed it from 27 to 60, 60 to 75, 75 to 163, 163 in 93, 258 in 94, and I had 312. I wanted to close one home a day in 95, and I only closed 312. Shucks.
So guess what? We are half an hour into the webinar, and I'm only on the first question.
I didn't mean to talk so much.
All right, let me ask you this. So you're sitting at your desk with the pile of expireds.
Yeah.
You're calling 1 hour.
Yep.
Then did you just call one after the other
Yes.
over and over, and you
Flip the
built
sheet
up
over. It's called flip and turn, flip and turn, flip and turn.
and you did that, you built up to, did you go to 3 hours the year you did over?
93. See, I said I went an hour in 91, an hour and a half in 92, and in 93, when I closed 163, I prospected 3 hours a day.
3 hours.
3 hours a day.
And then did you leave messages?
Okay, everybody listen to this real close. Come here. Yes. Yes.
So I was
Leave a message.
listen,
Let's move forward right now. Let's change from being an agent to being a coach. Okay, let me coach a minute. I get agents every day that call me and say, "You can't believe it. These people are thanking me for calling and leaving a message." Nobody does it today. No one leaves messages. No one. You got
that's the webinar right there, babe.
50% of my listings came from callback. Listen, right now, I looked at my phone a little while ago. I had 20-something people that had callbacks today. 20-something appointments from callback. Oh, that's what y'all know what this is called? It's $1 million phone. No, y'all have an iPhone, smartphone. Smart. This is genius.
You know what? I was on a coaching call with you, and you would have people calling you back that you never even spoke to.
That's correct.
To come list the house.
You know,
like they knew you, right? Like they knew you.
Yep.
What is the main thing when you're on the phone using your great scripts? The C word.
A long list of questions that we had. What?
The C word. Confidence.
Oh, okay. Well, that's amazing you said that. And I'm not trying to build me up in any way, but I just had an agent that came in September to Atlanta, and it asked me if I'd take him back. Of course I would take anybody back. I love everybody. But I told him, I said, you're a great agent, been in real estate 8 to 10 years. I said, you're great. I said, you like one thing. You go out there and feel like you got to hold your hat out and beg and, well, whatever you say, Mr. Seller, but if you'd go out there with confidence and own it, your life will change. Your business is going to change. And I said, the other thing is, and he heard this in the seminar. I said, get negative people out of your life. Get negativity out of your life. Well, that's September. In December, he had never taken 10 listings in a quarter. He took 10 commercial listings in December, October, November, December. He just took 8 in January. He had 10,000 pending in September. He has 325,000 pending as of this morning because he became more confident.
Yeah.
Now, you can't be confident until you learn, you've got to learn the scripts. You've got to learn your presentation. You've got to know the value.
It just takes practice, though, really, to be confident more than anything, doesn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Well, of course it does. All right, move on because
yeah.
All right, what else?
All right. Okay. So
we're running short.
You talked about your changing point We talked about you going up to 300 and how you did it. It wasn't an overnight success. You built up. We talked about your confidence level. Talk to me about a little bit more about your superpower. You were telling me about that in another call.
You asked me
As
that,
now
and
you're
probably
a
when you asked me to do
coach,
this.
like your
You know,
superpower.
my superpower is discernment, and it truly is, and it's a power. I guess I thought everybody had, but I'll give you, if we have time at the end, I'll show you how I discerned things that's gone on in the world the last few years. But I can discern people. You don't have to be around me but a few minutes, and I can sense you want it too fast. You're you don't get it in 36 days, you'll give up, or you don't have confidence, or you have too much confidence and you know everything. I always tell people, if you know everything, why are you broke? Why are you broke? Because if you know everything, you shouldn't be broke. But I have that ability to discern what's stopping them and going from the next level. Now I track numbers for people, so that I look at numbers and immediately can tell where the weak area is. So, but I thought when with what I've lost over the last couple of years, I would not be able to discern people as much, but I still have that power to discern what's going on and what's, especially people. And that's what you got to remember this. There's coaches out there. There's all kinds of coaches. But a coach is supposed to coach you in running the play, what to do next, how to keep doing the get better. You know, there's 4 things that you need to do to be successful. Do my program, get better. So get better at the program. Number 3, do what Andrew says, and 4, don't give up. Those 4 things, I can make anybody a millionaire. But see, each person, most coaches want to tell every coaching person the same thing. People aren't cookies. You're not a cookie cutter. You're molding people. You're not going to cut them out. You can't say the same thing to everybody. You have to say some things, and you have to say it differently to some people. You can't say it the same. You've got to sometimes. You got to sometimes. You know, I can take a guy and grab him by the throat and say, "Okay, get your blah 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 blah." But with some people, I've got to say, "Listen, you have this power to do this." So everybody's different, and having that ability to discern. You know, I can tell when people have been beat up by their parents or beat up by this, and so anyway, that's my great that and scripting. That person I told you that met with us in Capitol Grill in Palm Beach, Florida, was having dinner. That Mike Nicholas and them said, "Why would you hire Andrew?" She's now way up with Blackstone on the 70th floor, and they're buying all these properties across the United States. And they asked her one question. They said, we need something to keep these people, find out if these people. And she said she hadn't spoke ever. And she leaned into the mic and said, I know this man. He can give us what we need. And actually they came to me, and it changed the way they were keeping 20% of the people there to keep it 80% because of one sentence. And that's my gift, is that sentence to give somebody.
So Andrew,
all right.
over the years, did you have any challenges as a coach and as a real estate agent? And you've told us about some of those.
Right. There was really no challenges. You know, I think you asked it in a different way when you sent the list of questions, but I didn't have any challenge. I mean, my business just went forward the whole way. Now, you asked me if I would go back and change some things. As a coach, I was probably too tough. I was probably that United States Marine, and I expected everybody that I coached to go to 50. And I can remember a girl from your town in Charleston. I cannot think of her name. She was over there on the island, Daniel Island, but she was in Augusta at a program, and she said, Andrew, I don't want to be another person that was having 60 closings. I just want you to help me have 10 or 12 more. And that was because they were $1 million a piece. Yeah. She said, that's all I need. So I had to understand, I didn't need to coach everybody to have 50 or 100 closings. So I coached you to where you want to go. So that was my biggest thing. I changed that. The other thing was, I probably expected more out of people than they expected to give. And my wife has said many times, you think more about people's business than they think about it. And I look back now and she's right. I was thinking about what they need to do, and I can share what they need to do, but they always didn't do it. So again, I expected more out of people than a lot of times being a United States Marine, being a AAA personality, being that, so I had to lower my expectations to what they wanted to do. You understand? But I do make people, I will say this. I can take an average agent and make them great or good. I can take a good agent and make them great, and I can make a great agent a superstar, depending on what they want to do. And it's just finding that I like to work. I'm fortunate. I work in a company that I have 150 agents or 120 agents. I get to work with people. They kind of filter out. If you're not going to work, this isn't going to work for you. If you're not going to come to work and treat it like a business and do the activities that you need to do to generate income and get better, then you're going to fall out. You understand?
So, I also think of your business as not that stressful, because you just, in the morning, you're making your calls, in the afternoon, you did your appointments, and that was about it.
That's it. That was it. I'm glad you said that, because I want to say this. Real estate is probably one of the most simple business there is. It's companies that make them complicated. It's people that make them complicated. They complicate real estate. It's about getting face to face. One of my things I used to say is go buy an oil can that says STP to remind yourself every day. Speak to people, see to people. Speak, see. How many people do that today? Well, again, I don't allow robo dialing. You call one person at a time. You can leave them a message, and you go to the next one. If I can close 312 properties, calling one person at a time, why do you need to do this craziness? Because it's a gimmick.
Exactly. And then you can really concentrate and think about that person. And
well,
so
call one person at a time. You got one. You call them
right.
one person at a time. You got them on the sheet, and when you're looking at it while the phone's down, I'm going, "Ooh, I sold a house in that area. Ooh, I know. I just sold a house in that price range. Ooh." But if you don't even know who you're calling, it's the craziness that is right there.
That is crazy. I agree with you 100%. I know we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, exactly.
So like in today's world and the people that you're coaching, do you coach them to send materials and do pre-listing packages and all of this other information, or is it just straight calling?
Just straight calling. But if listen, let's say some of this, if somebody wants to come see me or call me and ask me a question, can I give them my phone number, by the way?
Please. Yes.
Our office number is 1-800-948-1633, 1-800-948-1633. You can go to Andrew Lacey or AndrewLaceyTraining.com. And hey, I consider myself the best coach in the United States. I consider myself the best in helping people having the wealth. Wealth. It's not your gross income, even though some of y'all's is pretty gross. It's your net income. But I'm never too big to talk to.
Can we do one little song or something to end up?
Yeah. Well, let me yes. And I just want to say, I'll give you the whole overview of me. We started with who I am. Well, my first 20 years is the nurturing, where I went to school, where I went to church, my parents. I had great parents. I grew up very poor. It's easier for a poor person to become wealthy than a wealthy person to stay wealthy, because if you never had it, you want it. You never had to work for something. So don't be afraid to work for something that lasts forever. My second 20 years, 20 to 40, I figured it out. I figured out what it took to be successful, and it has not changed. And from 40 to 60, I've made fortunate enough to become very fortunate, wealthy beyond a couple of generations. I've been blessed. So Betty, in 2019, they had a party for me at my club in Spartanburg, and there's hundreds of people there. And they said, "What are you going to do with the rest of your life?" I was 60 years old. It'll be 5 years in April, 5 years ago. And I said, for the next 20 years, it's how many lives can I change? That's what it was. Had nothing to do with money. Had nothing to do with anything else. Now think about, in the last 4 years and 9 months, I have changed more lives than at any point in time in the history of my company. Now, did I know in 2019 COVID was going to happen? Oh my God. Didn't stop me. I went forward. Did I know that my dad was going to die? No. But he died I actually came to work that morning and did a coaching call and had so many people go, I admire you. And I said, my dad would have wanted me to come to work. He went to work every day in the dark, came home in the dark, then he took care of cows because we needed to supplement our income. That's how poor we were. I got my work ethic from him. And did I know I was going to go blind? So see, 5 years ago, it had not been COVID. My dad hadn't passed away, and I not. But see, all I've done is gone forward each day. And by the way, when I got out of bed this morning, even though I've lost my dad and gone through COVID and blind, it's going to be a great day today. It's been a great day today. But so many times people in life give up. And all they got to do is take out one more step. And I'd like to think that what I do better than anybody in the world is to pick somebody back up, help them back up, to keep going and not quit, to encourage them. If you have, there's so much we could talk about. You said something to him with a song. Well, I actually wrote a song a few years back, Forrest Gump. At the beginning of the movie, first, I'm not going to sing it. It goes dun 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 dun. It's at the beginning and the end of the movie. Well, I was speaking of all places, may have been speaking in Savannah to the top agents from Charleston. And I was coming back home, and I was on Interstate 26 and between the state capital of Columbia and Clinton, South Carolina. And I was listening to it, and I said, this needs words. And I took a legal pad, which I have right here. I took a legal pad and I pulled off on the side of the road. And this is what I wrote that day, 96, 97. I'd like to leave it with you. Betty, thank you for having me. And
I'm honored.
well, thank you. And I'm honored to have you as a friend for these last 30-something years.
Well,
But here we
your
go.
goal has been accomplished. You have
Thank
helped so many people. That's for sure.
Thank you. How do I take a stand for greatness? Where should I begin? How do I reach the goals I'm setting? When will I finally win? How do I set the wheels in motion to find the me? I want to be the best that I can be. I'm trying new things every day now, smiling when things go bad. But I have my mission clear before me, something I've never had. Now is the time I can see it's happening. It's changing in front of me. I'm going to be the best that I can be. All of my hard work now has paid off. My dreams have all come true. Now it is time to set a new goal. I know I'll reach that too. I never thought I had such power, but now I clearly see I'll always be the best that I can be. I'll always be the best that I can be. And I hope I've inspired someone on this call today to be the best.
Oh my gosh.
Love you, baby.
Oh, thank you so much, Don. Thank you.